Hi guys, welcome. This is Kieran from the One Zen Academy and One Zen Wellness. Together it's just One Zen. So thank you for watching this or taking the time to actually press play. Don't stop now, especially if you want to increase flexibility around the hip, specifically adductors and so on. So adductors, stretching your adductors will help also relax your hamstrings as well, because one of the adductors, especially adductor magnus, can also do some of the role of the hamstrings, and hamstrings can also do some of the role of the glutes. So very useful, especially if you are sitting down all day. Now, flexibility, wherever you stretch, you need to strengthen. So I always recommend any flexibility program is coupled with a strengthening program. So if you're stretching or going to town or doing a lot of, say, hatha yoga or kind of any big holds, that you're doing some sort of strengthening program with that. People assume a muscle is tight, so I need to strengthen it. But it's worth remembering that tightness is only secondary to weakness. So it's about asking the question, why? Why are my hamstrings tight? Why are my adductors tight? It's normally because there's a perceived weakness by your nervous system, either further up the kinetic chain or lower down. So for instance, hamstrings are normally tightened because there is a perceived weak core. And that could mean a back injury, like a spinal issue, spinal pathology, or any abdomen or organ related issues, so digestive problems, issues with kidneys, liver and so on, can often establish themselves as a weakened core, because the nerves have to go out from the spine, they go through the organs first and then to innervate the muscles. So if there's an issue or dysfunction with the organ, then the muscles that same nerve travels along will also be dysfunctional. So it's worth considering that as part of any flexibility program, that you need to establish good dietary and nutritional habits, good lifestyle practices and good strengthening protocols. That flexibility should never just be done on its own. But having said that, flexibility work, specifically holding stretches, stimulates the parasympathetic response, which in turn will create a relaxation response. So fantastic last thing at night, or if any time during the day that you're stressed out and you're thinking breath work and meditation are just not working for you at that moment. Maybe you're too anxious and trying to slow your breath down or trying to meditate is just too tough. Then go to something a bit more physical and hold stretches and then breathe through that stretches, and you'll find it's just a different way into the same system. So with regards to the adductors, one of the best ways of doing this, and because you can do this in front of a TV or you can have a book in front of you, you can start reading, you can often distract your mind if you don't want to be too present with this stretch. So it's taking your legs out like this. Now, if you're having trouble maintaining posture, with your hands, have them behind you, behind your buttocks, and gently push your chest upwards, so headlights up. And this will help establish good alignment. If you're okay in that position, then you can lean forward from the hips, so don't slouch or slump. And then from here, it's just about holding that position. Active toes, so toes are pointing upwards. Don't let your feet roll inwards or too far out. So we want some nice alignment, knee in line with second toe. So we have this one line here. So it should be in this position here, like that. So I used to do this last thing at night in front of the TV. Just put something on, and then every now and then, it's often about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Only on the exhale would you then increase the stretch. So the exhale is the equivalent version of the parasympathetic response. So on my exhale, I would just grab the inner thigh here and just shimmy my legs out, and shimmy is a technical term. So shimmy your legs out, active toes, and just hold that position. Now if this is a bit boring, you can start movement. So inhale to lengthen, exhale, lean over one leg. Ready, on the exhale, shimmy a little further out. And that's generally how it works. So this will kind of lengthen through your hip flexors as well. So you've got sartorius, which is also a hip flexor and an adductor, longest muscle in the body, and it blends into the tibia just here, so just below the knee. So there's all sorts of musculature that will interact and cross a lot of different joints, or multi-joints as it's termed. So from here, if you really want to focus more on the upper adductors, like adductor magnus, gracilis and so on, then palms of your feet, soles of your feet together, clasp your hands underneath the toes, roll your shoulders back and down, inhale to lengthen, exhale, try and bring those knees down towards the floor. And if you can, try and get the heels of your feet as close to your, well, if you're a guy, close to your testicles as possible. And that's one hold that you can do normally quite reasonably, what most people can do. If not, you can put a bolster or like a yoga brick underneath your bum in order just to roll your pelvis forward enough for you to maintain that alignment. So that's what I would do for the adductors, as well as I'm sure if you've watched any of my stuff before, I'm a big believer that most people who are able-bodied with 2 working legs should be able to do a deep squat. Now, that's not the same as I don't necessarily believe that everyone needs to deep squat and with a massive weight across their back and be able to do that, because they just don't in everyday life. But you do need to be successfully able to get to the ground and then back up again. If you're a runner or a movement professional, then it's especially important, because in this position, this angle here, my ankle, is called dorsiflexion. This is the right amount of dorsiflexion that's required when I'm running to minimize injury around the foot and ankle. This is also the right amount of dorsiflexion enough to offset against lower back pain caused by foot immobility or ankle immobility. With my knees, my knee as a joint is fully open. There's no pressure on my knee whatsoever, because a lot of people will often state, oh, it's bad for your knees. It's the opposite. It's not bad for your knees. If you had an underlying knee pathology, like a torn meniscus or ACL, PCL injury, or any lateral ligament injury, for instance, then yeah, if it's an underlying issue, it's probably not the best, and you would need to consult your physiotherapist or osteopath or whatever therapist you're working with. But if there's no real issues with your knees, it just is taxing for you to get into this position, then you need more of it. You don't have to just automatically get into this nice deep position. You can start off with a slight wedge underneath your ankles. You can again do this in front of the TV, even if you can only get to here. Gravity will assist you after a while, and you'll slowly lose that battle. And the nerves within the tendons especially, like the Golgi tendon organs, will recognize and override the muscle spindles which are holding on to that position. You can often offload these as well. So if you have the ability to hold on to something and offload your weight, then you won't overly stimulate the muscle spindles, which basically will create a stretch reflex response and tighten the muscle up. So if you can offload enough, like hold on to maybe your stair banister, a tree, a TRX to offload, you'll find that you can get the right amount of depth. And then it's just about training the nervous system to give you more and more. That's all it is, and that's really all flexibility and mobility is. It's a nervous system response. You're asking the nervous system really to let go, and it's okay to let go because we can get out of that position as well. That's really what we're asking. So give that stretch a go, give those stretches a go, and don't be afraid to post your feedback or any questions that you have in order to increase flexibility. Give it a go. Thank you for watching.